Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a movie from 2012. It's a musical from 2012 called The Devil's Carnival. Now, the only thing I know about this movie is that it's from the same people who made Repo the Genetic Opera, which, as some of you may happen to remember, was the best movie I reviewed in 2011. I ranked that #1 out of everything I covered in 2011. This is sort of a follow-up. The only thing I needed to know to be interested in watching this is that it was from the same people and it's another musical rock opera-ish sort of thing. The only issue I kind of have with it is that it's a little bit short. It's only 55 minutes. But I'm kind of hoping that they will be able to pack a lot of awesome into 55 minutes. Or perhaps maybe the brevity will make it a massive letdown. The only way I'm going to know, though, is if I shut up and I push play, and believe me, I really want to get this thing going. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out The Devil's Carnival. You know, it's sort of funny. I really never pictured Satan as the kind of guy who would read, Aesop's fables. I don't know why. I guess it just seemed a little... I guess it just doesn't seem right to me for some goofy reason. Well, guys, here it is. The first actual song in this, musical, and I'm not really liking it too much. I'm genuinely hoping for the music in this thing to get better, but this first song really hasn't won me over, guys. Okay, I really was not expecting her to bite off his ear. Or not bite off his... What the fuck is going on here? Well, guys, it took them a while, but we finally hit a song that's pretty good. That normally is not a good sign for a musical, guys, when you're waiting for a good song to hit, but otherwise, guys, the movie's okay, but the music, otherwise, beyond this one, is kind of killing it for me. So, apparently Satan just likes to pop kids, he likes to pop kids' balloons, randomly, to prove a point from a rather stupid story. Yeah, that felt a little forced and unnecessary. I guess it was for stylistic purposes, but still, it doesn't stop it from being kind of stupid. You know, guys, I am going to say this. Satan in this movie is really kind of cool. That to me is always sort of a positive, is I've always liked a cool Satan in my movies. I don't know why, I just find that to be kind of interesting. Well, guys, that was The Devil's Carnival, and, well, God, wow. This closing song kind of sucks. No, please, shut up. I don't want you to ruin a potentially good thing with shitty closing music, rather. Okay. Before I get into this, I guess I ought to get the one big thing out of the way, and hopefully I won't continue to harp on it over the course of this review. Is The Devil's Carnival as good as Repo? No. Nowhere even close to as good as Repo. Repo, guys, was a fantastic work of art and beauty. This thing kind of felt cheap and shitty. Mind you, it isn't terrible. I mean, I am going to cover the positives and the negatives, but if I really were forced to tell you guys whether to watch this or Repo, I would tell you Repo, and I would never think twice about it. Now, I am probably going to make a couple of other comparisons later on, such as with like music and writing. Well, writing, just have already kind of summed it up. Repo was better. But I am going to compare music a little later. But why don't we get the writing done first? I'm gonna break this into two different things. The dialogue, the story, the plot, and then the songwriting, as well as just songs in general. The actual story here sounds okay. In fact, I really had no idea what I was getting into on this. We have kind of an anthology film of sorts, as we follow three people recently cast into hell. And essentially what each of them are doing is they're playing out essentially a fable. Or I'm talking about, like, they're basically playing out like circus themed version of one of Aesop's fables to kind of tie into exactly what they did to get them into hell. The problem is, when the film starts, really only one of them deserves to be there because the person's a fucking jewel thief. And they want to continue to harp on the fact that this person is a jewel thief the first time you see her, she sees this big hat that's just full of gold and diamonds and necklaces, and she steals everything from it. Then there are, like, bracelets and other, like, gems and valuables, like, hanging off of signs. Every time that she sees one, she, will steal it and throw it on, and she's working her way towards getting this massive diamond. She has every right to be there. As for the other two, one of them is looking for his son. Apparently his son died. It's kind of sort of hinted at early on, and then they very bluntly say his son is dead. The other one was going to be killed by her boyfriend. And she didn't do anything wrong, though, at least as far as the writing goes. So apparently, if you start dating a scumbag, you're going to go directly to hell. You learn something new every day. So really, it was kind of sort of a flimsy reason for all three of them to go there. And you slowly pick up why the guy looking for his son is there. That's part of a grander scheme that Satan is cooking up. That makes a little bit of sense, kind of. I still don't get the other one, though. And her story is kind of like a modern, again, circus-ish retelling of the fable of the frog and the scorpion, which basically the whole moral of that fable is never trust a scorpion, which I kind of thought would go right into the no shit category. But let's just roll with it here. I still don't know why the fuck she was sent to hell outside of, I guess, trusting a scorpion in the real world. So, really, guys, the writing here, the story, it's kind of flimsy, but it shows a lot of promise. I mean, this guy's almost felt like a pilot for a TV show, where Satan is basically like the crypt keeper and just sort of tells the story of people who get thrust into his, circusy version of hell. And that really would have made for a fantastic, like, series of films, or maybe even a good television series, and then the twist at the end kind of screws it over, because the twist at the end is basically talking about how hell is going to take over heaven. I am not going to spoil how, because I know some of you are going to want to watch this. So, writing here, at least in terms of, like, story, is a little bit flimsy. And the characters are really not all that fleshed out. And that not only includes our victims, but that also includes all of the people who are under Satan's employ, let's say. Like, there is this slight hint that all of them are supposed to have some kind of depth and character, but you never really pick up on it, probably because the film is only, the movie's just under an hour long. So you don't have much time to really do any kind of fleshing out with characters. Again, that kind of hints that this could have probably been like a pilot for a TV show, and then they just tacked on the ending to kind of flush all hopes of that down. But yeah, writing here was not really the best. It was still kind of serviceable, and well, the writing isn't so bad it's going to destroy the movie, but it could have been a lot better. Now we get to the music. There are a handful of songs here which are really good, and when I say really good, I mean I would almost be tempted to go and download them somewhere. That is how good some of those songs are. Then other ones are just basically noise with no real rhyme or reason to them. There are a couple of songs which are like that, and I came real close to just fucking shutting off the movie because those were pretty early on, and that first song was kind of shit in the first place. And then when the next two songs are just nothing but solid noise, I felt almost tempted to just say fuck it and shut it off. But I didn't. I was willing to press on, and I'm kind of happy I was able to finish it. But that should tell you how bad some of the music is here. It almost drove me to stop watching the fucking thing. And you don't want that in your musical. And again, from the same team who wrote the songs for Repo, the fact that there were that many shitty songs in this thing is nothing short of criminal. It really does kind of upset me a little bit. So, writing here on all fronts is not that good. It could have been a hell of a lot better everywhere. Let's cover acting. I stated earlier that Satan comes off as kind of sort of a likable being, but that's partially because, again, he is kind of sort of playing a crypt keeper-ish role here, where he's kind of sort of introing every story as he's telling them to what you first believe is the son that the guy is looking for. Of course, of course, things sort of change as the film, goes on. Again, I really don't want to spoil much for you. And doing that, he does a pretty decent job. And everybody else, given almost no, reason to flesh out their characters and given no real, motivation, everybody turns in a fairly decent showing. Then we get down to singing, which a couple of people were asked to sing songs, and they should never have been asked to sing a song. There's one guy who sings about the 666 rules of the Devil's Carnival. Yes, they were that lazy. There are 666 rules in, hell. Ooh, boy, that was creative as shit. But the guy who sings that song, oh my God, should never have been asked to sing. The man has no singing voice to speak of. It makes that song almost torturous, which, again, that is, plus also the lyrics for it were not that good, and, again, almost any time, guys, that we have something where it's set in hell and they want to shoehorn in, 666, it makes me a little uneasy, because that just feels stupidly lazy, let's say. So we have a couple of people who are almost as bad as that guy and should never have been asked to sing anything ever, but they are still asked to sing, and, well, I guess that's probably why a handful of those songs really suck, because they gave them to people who don't know how to sing and couldn't carry a tune on their best day. But, again, you are able to look past a couple of those and find a kind of a promising film in here. Camera work is good, lighting is good, effects, what very few effects are here, not counting, makeup effects. I'm talking things like gore effects, visual effects, digital effects. All of those are good. What very few of them are there. The makeup effects in this thing are fantastic, because we have the actor who plays Satan. He's covered in just tons and tons of latex makeup and giant fucking horns, and every single one of the, again, I almost want to use the term employees in the Devil's, Carnival, are also just caked and loaded up with makeup. The only one who looks really shitty and stupid is, you never really pick up his name. They maybe say it once. He's the scorpion half of the Frog and Scorpion story in this thing. They made him out to look, like a greaser, and they gave him, the jacket and everything, and then his hair is just this big plastic fucking pompadour on top of his head. It does not look good at any fucking time. It looks hideous. The best way I can, compare it, if anyone's been dumb enough to sit down and watch that god-awful show, Lazy Town, and you see those big fucking, plastic, wigs they wear, it's one of those. Okay? It's one of those fucking things, and it just looks absolutely retarded on the actor. The actor doesn't even look comfortable wearing it when he's on camera. So yeah, that right there is like the one dark spot in the, like makeup area of this film. Otherwise, makeup is great. Ultimately, can I recommend this? Kind of. You see, guys, no matter how much I can dump on this thing for being shallow and having some really shitty songs and that stupid plastic wig, no matter how much I can bitch about all of that, the fact of the matter is the movie's only 55 minutes long, and if you have a Netflix account, you can watch it on Netflix. In fact, that's how I watched it. So really, the only thing you stand to lose, and really you're actually standing to lose only about 50 minutes unless you sit through the credits, that's really all that you're standing to lose is time. And if you don't have a Netflix account, well, I would not recommend buying this unless you find it like at a ridiculously cheap price. I'm talking around like the $6 range. Otherwise, I would not touch this thing with a 10-foot stick. It's not that good. But again, if you have Netflix or if you have any other service which might have this thing streaming, go right ahead and check it out. About the only thing you are destined to lose is about 50 minutes of your life that you may or may not get back. Mind you, even though I wasn't a fan of some of the music here, now some of you guys might really be into it. So, again, you seriously cannot take my word in terms of music as the be-all, end-all. Well, you can't take my word on anything to be the be-all, end-all. It all sort of boils down to whether or not you guys enjoy the movie yourself. But I'm just here to kind of warn you. It's not as good as Repo. It's not really as good as a lot of musicals I've seen. This one here, it kind of faltered a little, and I'm a little bit, let down by that because of, the film that led me to want to watch this. Because again, Repo like rocketed itself to be one of my favorite musicals of all time. This thing here is the follow-up to it from the same people. I was kind of expecting the same kind of magic, but this thing is just proof positive that lightning can and will not strike twice. Ultimately, this thing kind of fizzled for me, but hey, you guys might actually have a better time at it than me. So by all means, go out there, check it out if you have Netflix. Otherwise, wait until it shows up on like HBO or Stars or something and you can watch it there. If you have a subscription to HBO or Stars. Well, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.